Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Abhinav, and in this video today we'll see about UPSC CMS 2020 paper, that is paper 2. We'll see the surgery topic now. So we have already discussed about the medicine and pediatrics topics, and the video you can find it in our page, or you can just click the link above. So today we'll be solving the paper 2, that is the surgery part will solve. So without wasting time, let's start solving. So the indications of fasciotomy in compartment syndrome include all except. So distal sensory disturbance, yes. Compartment syndrome, pressure more than 30 mmHg, yes. Pain on passive movement of affected muscle, yes. So palpable distal pulses, no. So this is not an indication for doing fasciotomy in compartment syndrome. So if the distal pulses are palpable, the fasciotomy is not necessarily done. So which of the following statement is not correct regarding necrotizing soft tissue infection? Crepitus skin blistering, focal skin gangrene or typical presenting feature? Yes. Crepitus can be usually seen due to gas producing organisms like Clostridium, etc. So these are monomicrobial in nature. No. So usually necrotizing soft tissue infection are polymicrobial in nature. They include many bugs will be causing at a time. So this is not monobacterial. Treatment consists of wide local excision and antibiotics. Yes, definitely. Tissue biopsy is required for culture and diagnosis. Yes, can be done. What type of surgery is lab cole classified as? So it is clean contaminated because this if it is an elective laparoscopic cystectomy, then it is a clean contaminated surgery. So 22-year-old female presented with a history of Malay, cough, alternating constipation and diarrhea with intermittent abdominal pain for the last 6 months. So this is a chronic history. There is cough and body malaise, constipation and diarrhea. Also complaints of abdominal distension for the last 2 days. Okay, on examining her abdomen, it's a doughy feel with an ill-defined mass in the right lower quadrant. She is most likely suffering from appendicular lump, not possibly because the history is chronic. Ileocecal TB, yes, definitely can. Because you can see the patient is having cough, so so it can be TB. Carcinoma cecum, yes, can be, but doesn't explain the body malaise, cough, and all those things. Ovarian mass, yes, again doesn't explain the cough. And the next question, consider the following statements regarding needle stick injuries. So injured part should be washed under running water, yes. Dominant index finger is the commonest site for needle stick injury. No. Usually we tend to take the needle with our dominant hand. So when the injury occurs, it is most probably in the non-dominant index finger. So this is wrong. All needle sticks injuries should be reported definitely. Hepatitis and HIV testing should be done after needle stick injury, yes. So the correct statements are 1 and 3 and 4. So these are the correct statements. So consider the following statement regarding claudication. It is a marker for silent coronary disease. Yes, true. Because claudication can be peripheral due to peripheral arterial disease, which is most commonly due to atherosclerosis. Structured exercise program leads to improvement in symptoms. Yes, 2 hours per week for 3 months. Diabetes mellitus increases the risk and severity of claudication. Yes. Beta blockers may exacerbate claudication. Yes, because beta blockers decrease the arterial blood pressure, and this can worsen the peripheral arterial disease. 50-year-old lady underwent uneventful bariatric surgery for morbid obesity. On the third post-op day, she develops breathlessness and pulmonary embolism is suspected. Yes, usually in bariatric surgeries, pulmonary embolism is commonly seen in the post-operative periods. So the next investigation to confirm the diagnosis will be, so how can we confirm the pulmonary embolism? Echo, duplex, no CT pulmonary angiography usually confirms pulmonary embolism. Medical management of thyrotoxic crisis includes all of the following except IV fluids, yes, patient will be dehydrated. Propranolol, yes. Hydrocortisone steroids, yes. IV antibiotics, no, this is not needed for thyrotoxic crisis. The patient operated on a parotid gland tumor develops symptoms of sweating and erythema over the region of surgical excision while eating. So while eating, the patient is having sweating where the surgery was done. So the probable diagnosis would be parotid gland fistula, can be sialadenitis, chronic wound infection, Fraze syndrome. So Fraze syndrome is gustatory sweating, which is whenever the patient eats, patient sweats. This is because after a parotid gland surgery, some of the nerves would be excised. So those nerves will regrow again and innervate the skin, causing sweating whenever the patient is eating. So the first line hormone therapy for postmenopausal women with metastatic breast cancer. So this is they are asking about metastatic breast cancer in the postmenopausal women. So usually anti-estrogens are preferred, this is anastrozole. So the following are major subtypes of breast cancer based on gene array analysis, except luminal A and luminal B, yes. A come under gene array, triple negative, yes. HER2 receptor, yes. Estrogen receptor is doesn't come under gene array analysis, comes under gene receptor classification. So the estrogen receptor, progesterone receptor, all those are separate classification. So the answer is estrogen. All of the following are sequelae of peptic ulcer surgery except bilious vomiting, yes. Dumping syndrome, yes. Diarrhea, yes. Increased appetite, no. So now there is peptic ulcer surgery is done. The patient, sometimes the vagal nerves are also cut. So acid secretion usually will have been decreased. So patient might not have appetite as good as a normal person. So appetite is usually decreased and not increased. The child Turcotte PO score for quantifying the severity of chronic liver disease includes all the variables except albumin, bilirubin, yes. INR, yes, but serum creatinine, no. Surely this is not involved in child PO scoring. Chain of lakes appearance due to circulation with intervening short stretches of pancreatic duct is seen in. So chain of lakes is usually seen in chronic pancreatitis, and these findings are all commonly observed in ERCP. Endoscopic retrograde cholangiopancreatography. All of the which one of the following statement is not correct regarding pyogenic liver abscess? Anorexia, fever, malaise, right upper quadrant pain, most common presenting feature, yes, because that is an abscess and infection is present. So all these findings can be present. It is more commonly seen in elderly diabetics and immunocompromised patients. Yes, true. Treatment is with oral antibiotics alone. No. These patients might require IV antibiotics and drainage can be necessary. Streptococcus and E. coli are most common positive. Yes, true. Swiss cheese defects are seen during laparoscopic repair of ventral hernias. So these ventral hernias are usually the abdominal wall hernias and those kind of things. Swiss cheese defect is seen in those kind of hernia repair surgeries. So now the following are correct regarding splenic artery aneurysm. Main arterial trunk is common site. Yes. Palpable thrill can be felt. No. It is symptomless until it ruptures. True. So it most commonly ruptures in cases like during pregnancy and those times. So correct is 1 and 2. Sorry, 1 and 3. 2 is wrong. Palpable thrill cannot be felt. Valentino syndrome is pain on per vaginal examination in pelvic abscess? No. Pain over left shoulder in left hypochondria collection? No. Pain over left groin in perirenal collection? No. Pain in right iliac fossa and perforated peptic ulcer? So peptic ulcers commonly perforate and sometimes they can cause pain in the right iliac fossa after perforation, that is called as Valentino syndrome. Spontaneous bacterial peritonitis occurs due to duodenal stem float, no. Peptic ulcer perforation, no. Acute bacterial infection of ascites, yes. Ascitic fluid, when infected, can cause spontaneous bacterial peritonitis, not infection via fallopian tubes. Structures not forming boundaries of the triangle of Doom, seen during laparoscopic inguinal hernia surgery dissection is. Mass difference, yes. So as difference usually forms the lateral boundary, spermatic cord vessels from the medial boundary and peritoneum in the inferior side. So inferior epigastric artery doesn't contribute. The term midline shift is associated with the head injury. When you see CT scan, the CT scan of the brain, so there is a midline. So when the right brain shifts or the left brain shifts to the opposite side, that is called as midline shift. Which one of the cranial nerves is not does not supply external ear? 5, 6, 7, and 9. So cranial nerve 6 is usually mainly involved with the eyes, the abduction nerve. So lateral rectus muscles supplied by cranial nerve 6, and that doesn't do anything with the external ear. So left internal mammary artery has become the conduit of choice for left anterior descending artery during coronary artery bypass grafting. This is because you would have read about the Lima LAD, LIMA LAD, so anastomos. That is usually they use internal mammary artery for the left anterior descending artery. This is mainly because the long-term patency of those Lima arteries are more than 98%. Not because it is close to LED, not because it is doesn't atherosclerosis, and not because it is easy to harvest. So, a 50-year-old male with significant smoking history presented in the surgical emergency, sudden severe breathlessness, chest shows right-sided pneumothorax. The appropriate management requires aspiration of air 16 to 18 years. No needle decompression usually for tension pneumothorax, and this doesn't look like a tension pneumothorax, or they haven't mentioned about it. So we'll go with right-sided chest strain of 8 to 14 French. Which one of the following statements regarding Fallon is not correct? This infection in the fingertip between specialized fibrous septa. Yes. Is painless condition? No. Fallons are very painful condition, and you would have seen these cases in your clinics as well. So incision and drainage is the treatment of choice. Yes, it is common in diabetics and immunocompromised. Yes. Most common site for osteosarcoma is proximal femur, distal femur. So osteosarcomas are common at distal femur. Rapid sequence induction is indicated in emergency surgery for intestinal obstruction. Yes. So rapid emergency. So any emergency intubation, we can use rapid sequence intubation. Elective surgery not needed. Cardiopulmonary bypass, no. Elective surgery again, no. Which of the following statement about compartment syndrome is not correct? It is commonest in a closed fracture. Yes. Pain on active movement but not on passive movement of muscles. No. Pain can also be felt on passive movement of muscles. Fasciotomy is treatment of choice. True. We also saw a question earlier about fasciotomy. Oakman's ischemic contracture is a late complication. Yes. Which one of the following is not the strength of ultrasound as a diagnostic modality? No radiation. True. It is a strength. Short learning curve? No. The learning curve of ultrasound is usually long. It's not short. So inexpensive? Yes. Allows dynamic studies to be done? Yes. So the following statement regarding lymphedema following breast cancer treatment are correct. Incidence has decreased due to rarely combined therapy of axillary lymph node dissection and radiotherapy. Yes. So nowadays they are not combining both dissection and radiotherapy. So incidence has decreased. Precipitating cause like lymph node metastasis is a major determinant. Main thing is due to during the surgery when the lymph nodes are removed. So edema can be due to that. But precipitating causes like lymph node metastasis is a major. Yes. Sorry. So lymph node metastasis surgery is done due mainly because there is lymph node metastasis, and that's why there is lymph node has been removed, so there is edema. So this condition is often painful. No, this condition is not very painful, but when getting infected, that can be painful. So edematous limb is susceptible to bacterial infection. Yes, so true. The correct options are 1, 2, and 4. Which one of the following is not a risk factor for development of venous thrombosis in surgical patients? Age more than 60 years. Pregnancy, yes, because the hypercoagulable state. Obesity, yes. Diabetes, no. Diabetes is not a risk factor for development of venous thrombosis in surgical patients. Remember that. Which one of the following is not a complication of massive blood transfusion? Massive blood transfusion can cause coagulopathy, yes. Hypocalcemia, yes. Hypothermia, no. Hypothermia can be seen, but not hyperthermia. Hyperkalemia, yes. So stage 3 pressure sore is full thickness skin loss extending to subcutaneous tissue, but not through fascia. Yes. So stage pressure sores like stage 1 is just the superficial skin. The skin is intact; it's not breached. Stage 2 is usually when the epidermis or dermis is involved. But stage 3 is entering the subcutaneous tissue, and stage 4 is going into the fascia. Deep subclavian vein puncture in a surgical ward, suddenly patient develops severe breathlessness. On auscultation, breath sounds were absent and ipsilateral chest was tympanic percussion. So that's probably a pneumothorax. And due to subclavian vein, during this procedure we have punctured it, so that is iatrogenic pneumothorax. Kohler's disease, avascular process of navicular. Which one of the following is not true of pyoderma gangrenosum? Is characterized by cutaneous ulceration with purple undermined edges. True. It's often secondary to high-end immunological reactivity. Yes. From another disease process. Yes. Because usually it is seen in ulcerative colitis as well. So cultures often show gram-positive staph. No. Cultures are usually sterile. Sometimes it may show bacteria. Lesions generally respond to steroid because it is due to immune system. Which one of the following is not a tissue repair surgery for inguinal hernia? Not a tissue repair. So they are asking about tissue repair. In Bassinis repair, yes, you are going to use the conjoint tendon and the peritoneum. Shoulders, conjoint tendon and the inguinal ligament. Sorry. So shoulders also you are going to do the same with some extra procedures. Stopa is pre-peritoneal and doesn't usually involve tissues. Desarda involves tissue. Yes. So not a tissue repair surgery. Stopa's repair. So now the following type of measures is recommended for intraperitoneal use of abdominal wall hernia. So inside the peritoneum, lightweight porous mesh no, heavyweight porous mesh no, observable mesh no. So we'll use tissue separating measures. Remember, for intraperitoneal or ventral hernias, we used to do the onlay, inlay, sublay, and IPOM surgeries. So these are usually tissue separating measures. So now the following is not correct regarding men 1. So men 1 involves 3 compartments: head and neck and abdomen. So in head you can see pituitary gland tumors, and in the neck parathyroid gland tumors, and in the abdomen usually it's the pancreas. So it doesn't involve pineal gland. So now the following is not an electronic information site in surgery. PubMed, yes. Embase is usually Elsevier, and that is also electronic information site in surgery. Cochrane Library, yes. National Medical Library. So with this, we have completed the questions of UPSC CMS 2020 paper about the surgery questions. Now, I hope this was interesting for you and helpful also. So if you feel this is helpful, just put in the comment sections, that then we'll solve the obstetrics gynecology and PSM questions as well. So don't forget to subscribe. So later we'll see in another video. Thank you.